The captain scurried to find me after receiving the order. With the wine list still carefully propped open to the correct page, he pointed to the $650 one. His eyes screamed, "Ka-ching." I held my breath as his fingers scrolled from the price over to the left. 2009, Domaine Romane, Chevalier, Montrachet. At first, I was sure this was a practical joke. As the new girl, I had grown accustomed to all sorts of ruses. "Let me just double-check," I added, hesitant. The captain's face dropped as I took the wine list from his hands and walked over to the table, where 4 men lounged. They all had slicked-back gray hair and wore dark suits with thin stripes. I presented the list to the gentleman who had ordered. "Pardon me, sir, I wanted to confirm your order of 2009, Domaine Romane, Chevalier Montrachet." My finger ran along the name and to the price. He just stared at me with his beady eyes. Tiny droplets of sweat began to form under my cheap polyester suit. He closed the wine list abruptly with a clap. "Yes," he said with an overt tinge of annoyance. "And hurry, we are thirsty." I managed a nervous nod, rushing out of the dining room and upstairs. In the wine cellar, there was a corner I had yet to explore. This nook was where all of the high-end wine was hidden, away from light and dangerous swings in temperature. After a few moments of scanning, I found the Ramones and thumbed my way through until I landed upon the right vintage and vineyard. I gently picked up the bottle and noticed that there were, in total, only 2 of them. I cradled the wine in my arms as if it were a small child, terrified of what a single misstep might bring. Back near the table of men in suits, their conversation quieted to whispers as I returned. "Sir, 2009, I pointed to the vintage on the bottle. Domaine Romane, I pointed to the producer. Chevalier Montrachet, and I pointed to the vineyard." He gave a sharp nod. The eerie silence from the group crept onto my skin and sent a small shiver throughout my body. Outside the dining room, I placed the bottle steadily down on the guerdon, the sommelier station where wine is opened, prepped, and tasted. To open the bottle, I whipped out my corkscrew and rendered 2 precise cuts to the foil capsule, removing the top portion that covered the cork. Just in case there was any unwanted residue, I wiped the top of the cork off with a serviette. Once it was cleaned, I dug the tip of my corkscrew in, and with a few twists plus 1 steady pull, extracted the cork quietly. To be sure, I followed the last step of the sommelier protocol here and wiped the lip again with a serviette. Then the best part, I poured myself a 1-ounce taste. Believe it or not, a sommelier must taste every single bottle before serving. 1 bottle in every 2 or 3 cases of wine is corked, and even more can be affected by a variety of other flaws. Just as a chef would never send out a rotten piece of fish, a sommelier should never serve a lousy bottle of wine. The chemical compound known as TCA, trichloroanisole, is what is responsible for this cork taint. It won't harm you, unlike a piece of rotten fish, but it's a horrible taste. The tradition remains that even after the sommelier, arguably the expert in this scenario, approves the wine, she allows a guest to taste it as well. Here, the guest is merely rechecking to see if it is flawed. It is not a tasting to see if they like it. Preferences should be established with the sommelier well before the selection. So why even go through this rechecking process? I like to do it because I believe hospitality is about love, not logic. Of course, it would make more sense to skip this step. However, at this moment, the sommelier puts expertise on the back burner and humbly gives the guest the power. The sommelier respectfully bows down first, followed by the guests reciprocating in appreciation, ideally. Despite my lack of experience in the industry, I had already tasted thousands of wines and trained myself to commit all flawed flavors to memory. Still, I especially honored the tradition of letting the guest approve.